Hey, I'm Dean and this is Legacy Voyage. In Season 1, I'm documenting my journey to earning my first 100K net worth as a full-time college student. Join me as I share some of the lessons I learned along the way. I heard this story recently and I thought it was super good, so I really wanted to share it. And basically, it was from this guy. His name is Shaan Puri, and the reason he's a super cool dude is because after college, he went through, started a couple startups, eventually made one called Bebo, and then sold that off to Twitch and made a whole bunch of money there. And then from there, he created another company. It was a newsletter business, and then he sold that. And now he's running My First Million podcast. It's one of the podcasts that I just keep coming back to over and over again because I just really enjoy it. But he shared this story, and when he shared it, he said this was one of the turning points in his life. And the reason he said that was because after this story, after this moment, he learned a lesson where it took him from this straight and narrow path of I'm going to go be a doctor, go to med school, into I'm going to completely turn my life around and go into business. And it was this thing that taught him that, or this story. And basically, he was a senior in high school. He's already a senior, his very last semester. And this isn't some rinky-dinky college. This is Duke University. Literally a top 10 university. Everyone over here, they're all geniuses. And they're all paying $100K plus to go to this school. And the very last semester, he saw this class called How to Get Rich or Getting Rich. So he decides, you know what, I'm going to just take that class. And in the class, the professor did something that I think is super cool is he or she brought in a whole bunch of speakers from different backgrounds and careers, basically people who are doing really cool stuff. And the idea was to get them and teach them about these new perspectives, these new careers, these new paths that they didn't even know existed. And one speaker came in, and it was a private equity investor. And he goes in and gives his whole spiel, tells him about private equity, what he does, what's it like to be an investor. He goes on, and then at the very end of class, he says this. He says, who in this class has a business idea? I'm an investor, pitch me. And if you're one of the students, or at least if I was sitting in that class, I'd be like, oh my goodness, this is my chance. I pay this much money for opportunities like these, for an investor up there to literally give me this opportunity to share my idea with him, who's an investor who could invest in this thing. And I would be sitting there like super nervous. I don't know if I would raise my hand. And basically, this guy, he starts scanning from left to right, and he starts scanning. And Shaan Puri, he's in this class, and he's sitting at the far right side of the room. So he's sitting there, he's kind of nervous, and as he's scanning, no one raises their hand. And Sean's sitting there like, oh my goodness, this is the chance, this is the opportunity. All of these geniuses all in one room to pay for this chance. And he's scanning, the investor's scanning. No one raises their hand, not even one person. And then he gets to the very end. And then Sean's over there. Sean's over there sitting. He's like, boom. His hand just goes up. And this was a lesson, was that he sat on the far right side. He was super nervous about doing this. And after he rose his hand, he said this is a terrible idea. That was his first immediate reaction was, I know this is a terrible idea. Because the night before, he was just chilling with some friends, and then he was talking about this idea that he had for a sushi restaurant, but like Chipotle style. So it'd be like the Chipotle of sushi restaurants. And then he tells his whole idea, and the investor comes back. He's like, yep, that's a pretty bad idea. It's a pretty terrible idea. But the lesson is this. The investor said, but let's talk after class, because I want every single one of you to learn to shoot your shot, which is what Shaan did that day. And he said, at the very end of college, once you graduate, the top 3/4 of your resume, they're all going to be the same. You're all going to have gone to Duke University with a pretty good GPA, with a whole bunch of internships and clubs, and you're going to want to go work for a private equity firm or venture capital or whatever you want to go do. And the differentiator in all of these resumes is that the bottom percentage that makes you unique. And he asked the question is, what's interesting about you? What's going to make me interested in getting you to come work for me, come work at my firm and contribute to my mission and my dream and what I want to do? And the lesson here is that I like this guy, this Shaan Puri guy, because he decided to shoot his shot. And it's people like these who are going to shoot their shot, who are going to come work for me and make a difference. And he said to Shaan, look, after class, come talk with me. We'll talk about that business idea. And that's what did it. Shooting his shot, this is what eventually led him from completely shifting to majoring in biology, about to go into medical school and become a doctor, completely shifting that to business. And then from there, he went and pursued business like for real, for real. He put it all full time into that. And this is one of the stories I thought was super good. And it was just shooting your shot and how important that is. Because at the end of the day, if you get a no, then that's a good thing. Because you've learned from that. You've learned to shoot your shot. And you've learned to miss. And you've learned to get those reps in. Because it's those reps that are really going to train you to shoot your shot better the next time. And it's this whole idea of failing forward, the fail forward mindset, that you should embrace failure instead of being afraid from it, or instead of fearing it. You should embrace it and learn from it. And this all comes back to something that I was trying to think through. I was trying to work on this. I think I'm calling it the fail forward framework. And there's basically 3 steps to it. But before I get into that, there's a couple of ground rules that I need to establish. And the first thing is that beliefs are important. Beliefs are powerful. And the reason they're powerful is because they determine what we're going to do. They determine our future actions. So for example, very limited belief. If you think you can't do something, or you're limited in doing that thing and there's nothing that you can do that'll take you outside of whatever circumstances are holding you back, if you think that, then your actions are going to reflect that. But on the opposite side, if you think that you have this opportunity to grow and to become a bigger, better person, no matter what life throws at you, if you think that, then that belief will influence your actions and you will take massive action. So that's one of the first ground rules that we need to establish, is that belief determines action. So the next question is, what determines belief? How do you get to beliefs? And the things that determine beliefs is your experience. So there's something else that I figured out, was that 2 people, they can grow up in the same experience. Both parents died. They were orphaned and they have to become an immigrant and travel to another country. They don't speak the language, but they have to grow up in this unfamiliar environment. 2 people can grow up in that exact same experience. One person can grow up, decide, the world hates me. Why did my parents die? Because of that, I never had a normal upbringing. I never had a normal childhood. And I can't do the things that I want to do. I can't go and build a big business or make a bunch of money because of this experience that has held me back. And on the opposite side, the other person could look at that and say, you know what? I'm going to take that experience and I'm going to use that as fuel. I'm going to use it as motivation. Say, that experience is what has made me a stronger person, and I'm going to go and use that to go and achieve what I want to do. And it's the same experience, but from that same experience, the one experience they have, there's 2 different beliefs that they drew from it. And the thing I hit on was this, is that the difference is interpretation. Is that the way you interpret experiences will influence your beliefs. And so that's the next thing we have to hit on, is that belief determines actions and experiences determine beliefs. But in between there, we have interpretations. And the thing about interpretations is that it's all based on our mindset. And that's all the mindset is. It's the lens through which we interpret our experiences. And one of the mindsets that I came up with, I'm not sure if this is a thing yet, but it's basically the fail forward mindset, where instead of fearing failure, you actually look at failure and embrace it because it's the good thing that you can learn from. Here's a framework, is that once you've adopted the fail forward mindset, once you've adopted that, then you can move on to step number 1, which is taking massive action and embracing failure. It's because once you have this huge belief that now is in your back pocket that you can use, then you go out and you take massive action, because with that massive action, guess what? You're probably going to fail, and that's okay, and you embrace it. So you go out there, you take massive action, you embrace the failure, and then after you fail, you learn from the failure. Because if you just fail, then it's whatever, and there's nothing that you can learn from, then that sucks, and there's nothing you learn from it. But if you go and fail, and then you learn from it, and from that, you implement the things that you learned, and you adjust your approach, then we start getting somewhere. Then that's where you fail forward. You don't just fail, period. You fail forward. And that's the powerful thing, is that after you fail, you learn from the failure, and then you adjust your approach. And then after you adjust your approach, you take massive action and fail, and you repeat that over and over. And step 3 is to repeat until you succeed. Because I can guarantee that if you do this, you go over and over and over again. At the very end, if you say, man, well, I've tried everything. There's nothing more I can do. There's just nothing. I guarantee you're wrong. It's that simple. Is that there's so many things out there that you can do that I guarantee that there's something that you didn't do. So you go out there and you repeat this over and over and over again. And if you say, man, I quit. There's nothing more I can do. It's like, well, go out there and do it some more. And do it some more. And take more and more and more action. Because that's what it takes to eventually succeed. And that's just something that I kind of came up with while I was driving. I'm not sure if this is a thing yet, but I thought it connected really well with this story that, man, shooting your shot, that's what it's all about. It's all about this failing forward mindset, is that not being afraid of failure, not fearing it. I think that's super important, and I just wanted to share it. This is one of my first video style podcasts, because I think I'm going to just post these on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, this is the first episode of video recording. Yeah, so pretty cool. With the life update, really quick, because I'm about to hop on a meeting. It's actually, yesterday I found out I got accepted for this internship. It's with a venture capital firm. So I'm super excited to get started with them. Just basically learns the ins and out of venture capital. I was looking at my resume because I was getting it. I was meeting with someone about it, about getting internships and stuff. And he said, man, your resume is like literally everywhere. Like the experience is everywhere. Because I just realized that it's not specified in one industry, in one specialty. It's like, I'm trying to get into finance, trying to get into marketing and sales and all these different things. And I realized it's because of entrepreneurship. Like, the thing about entrepreneurship is you get your hands dirty in literally everything. So you really have to pick up as much as you know. And that's what I'm super excited for, is to learn as much as possible, because this upcoming fall, I'm going to be working with them at the VC firm and then at the search fund. So I'm really just trying to learn as much as possible right now. And yeah, that's the pod. I record these episodes completely free to share success with everyone. So the only thing I ask is that if you learned anything or found something interesting in this episode, just leave a review and share it with a friend. Only takes 5 seconds and it would mean the world. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. Tatok, see you.